Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And here I am at one of my favorite parks out here. So I really inspiring you to come on out, come on, yeah, you, come on, get outside and enjoy Mother Nature, enjoy Mother Earth, and it is such a beautiful day out here. So I really just want to see you happy and let go of fear if you're afraid of getting out with the animals. You're making it much more than what it really is. Starlight was feeding a coyote this morning. So if I could do it, you sure can. So anyway, if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you could find me on Starlight, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give this video a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget, you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and don't be afraid, don't be shy. Stop by and say hi to Starlight. Don't be shy. I mentioned in the other video, and most of you probably did not watch that video because not everybody is in the new moons and full moons, but what I said in that video is if you're watching a YouTube channel and people are helping other people to either be the change that they want to see in the world or become a better version of themselves than they were yesterday or a year ago from now, you really should support those people, because we're only out here to help other people, and this is what God has had for us to help and serve the world and the people that need it. So really support these people out there that are working on helping other people to change their life for the better. And are they perfect? Absolutely not. Are you? Absolutely not. So really make sure you watch the videos and give it a thumbs up or leave a message down below and subscribe to the channels, because that way other people will get help on that channel, where they can actually work on themselves. And don't you want to see a change in the world? Or you could be a part of it, a part of being that change, or you could be the problem that we're dealing with. Whoops, sorry, Starlight's hair is fuzzy here. So and also, a way that you can help support YouTubers that are out there that are creating content to help people. You can also share. That's another way that you can help them, is share their videos so other people can get it. It's not all about growing my YouTube channel. God actually put me out here to make videos to inspire people and to teach people things that they might have not have known about, so support those ones that are out there helping other people, instead of supporting people that are making, stuff that's distracting people from working on themselves. Help support people that are actually out there working their asses off and making a difference in the world. So anyway, that's my little introduction today. And also, not only you could give my videos a thumbs up or even leave me a message, is you can share, like I said, my videos with your family members, your friends. And today I'm going to have to say again, coyotes, and I'm going to put a cute video. I didn't speak into it, so I'm going to put it in there. And crows, because they were talking to me today. The crows were teaching Starlight crow language. So oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. 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 Oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, oh. Starlight was out here for, who knows, maybe like an hour talking crow language. So anyway, now after you share my videos, is you can also check out my playlist. Plus, you can follow me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. So this video is about most parents. Yeah, if you're a parent, maybe you, or maybe you know somebody. Maybe it was your parents. Maybe it was your parents. I don't know. Maybe your parents did this, when you were growing up. So most parents are guilty at doing this. Doing what, Starlight? Well, Starlight's going to tell you. So put your seatbelts on. We're going for a ride. So anyway, this video is to help not just you, but the children. That's what this is all about, is to help you out. I'm not here to judge. I'm only here to help you to see things at a different way, a different light, and there's times that a lot of parents might do things and they think that they're doing a great job at what they're doing. They might think, hey, yeah, I'm going to do this to my child, and, it's going to make them feel guilty, and it's going to pressure them to do the right thing and stop doing what I don't want them to do. And you got to understand, all the children are different, and, you don't know why they behave so differently, even if it could be the same mom or the same dad, and maybe you got like 3 kids, and, mommy was being faithful, and those 3 kids are actually yours, yeah, guys, that's a really rare, to have somebody that can be faithful in a relationship where the kids actually belong to the mommy and daddy, unless it's outside, when you have stepmommies and daddies, that's a lot different. But if you've been married like 20 years with the same wife and the same husband, and of course men could cheat, but how can you prove, that unless they, had a baby somewhere else? Oops, how did that happen? I don't want to know. But anyway, with that is many parents do this, and it might have been how they were brought up. It might have been something that they said, hey, this is what my parents did. I'm going to repeat the same thing with my kids, you know. And this is not really the wisest thing to do as far as bringing up your kids. And you're probably wondering, what, Starlight, what? And I'm getting to that. I'm just building it up right now. And, you know, like, we all, like, if you are a parent, or maybe even you know somebody that is guilty of this, maybe you have a friend or a neighbor or a relative that does this, or maybe your parents did, or maybe you do. And I love you, you know, there's no perfect parent out there. And, you know, a lot of times that's how we learn, is that we do things with our children. And, you know, sometimes it's a little too late. They already are adults now. And we realize, wow, you know, I did some things when I was younger, and, you know, I didn't know that that was the wrong thing to do to my kids. And, you know, so in that case, if it's already too late, where they're already adults, and you realize that, you know, you made some wrong choices as far as a parent goes, is that you can always communicate with your children and let them know, even if they're 30 years old, is to communicate with them and say, you know what, I had lots of years to think about this, and, you know, I realized after, you know, being a parent, you know, and thinking about how I raised you, is that I realized I didn't always make the right choice. You know, do that to your children. Let them know that, you know what, I screwed up in areas. I really didn't know, you know, what I was doing, and I thought I was doing the right thing, you know, because those were just lessons, you know. So I don't want you to beat yourself up. It's just that those are things that we need to learn, so we don't repeat it and hurt the children and abuse the children, you know, by thinking that what we're doing is the right way to do it, you know. And this happens to many parents, you know, and through the whole entire world. So this video is about parents that, you know, when their child does something wrong, you know, of course we got kids that are, you know, gonna, you know, mess up and do things that, you know, they might not know what they're doing is right or wrong. They just, that's how they're gonna learn, is, you know, doing stuff, and then later on they get caught and they're like, hey, I don't like what you did, you know. Like, for instance, okay, we'll start when kids are growing up. When they start off, is kids will start off, and without realizing, you know, sometimes they learn from their mom and dad, or just their mom or just their dad, about lying, you know. So they're learning how to talk, and they're learning to put sentences together, and then, you know, then they might do something wrong, and they could learn it from their parents or relatives or brothers and sisters, you know, and then they might say, I didn't do that. You know, like, who stole the cookie out of the cookie jar, kind of thing, you know. Starlight's got so who stole the cookie from the cookie jar? Well, they were you didn't make them so good, I wouldn't be taking them. I had one, and before you know it, now it's 10, you know. And, you know, they don't want to, you know, admit to they ate it, you know. It tasted really good at the time. And some parents are really abusive to their kids. They might beat their children for taking a cookie out of the cookie jar, because maybe those cookies were for a party, and maybe the child didn't know. It's just that they were there and they were tempting. And, you know, just like we're all tempted at many times in our life, we're always going to be tempted to do something every day, every minute of the time of our life. You know, we're going to be tempted to try things, and, you know, whether it's right or wrong. So the child takes a cookie or 10, and you catch them, and they deny they did it. And, you know, you might have a family that you got 3 kids, and the oldest is the one that actually did it, and the younger ones, you know, they don't know any better. And so the oldest one wants to, you know, say he didn't, we'll say it was a boy, that he didn't do it. And so then the parents look at the other ones, you know, younger children, and think, okay, well, if the oldest one didn't do it, it must be one of these two, you know. And you're just trying to, you know, do the investigation job like a parent should do, right? You should investigate your children and spy on them all the time, right? You should. If you're not, you should. So then you're trying to figure out, okay, out of the other two, so you might not even know, but you want to blame it on one of them, whether they're guilty or not. And so as parents are bringing up their kids, you might have relatives or friends that come to the house, and now we'll just pick on, I'm just going to think of a name, somebody that I don't know. Let's see, George. We'll pick on George, okay? George is going to take the blame for it, whether George did it or not, okay? Couldn't prove it, but George kind of looked guilty. He looked like the Cookie Monster, like he ate lots of cookies, like he just looked guilty for some reason. Maybe he was guilty about something else, and you just saw that guilt on his face. And so now the parents, they're on the phone, and relatives come to the house, and what goes on in the house? George didn't even do it. It was the oldest one. But now the parents are talking to other family members or, that call up on the phone or even visit the house, and George could be walking around in the house, and George is like hearing his parents talk on the phone and like, yeah, somebody stole all these cookies out of the cookie jar, and the oldest one, Jerry, he said he didn't do it, and Sally's too young, we don't think she did it, but George kind of looked guilty. So the whole week, you're on the phone talking about George stealing the cookies out of the cookie jar and ate 10 of them. What a hog. They were good, so now George is walking around the house. He never even did any of that, he doesn't even know who did it, and so now, but George is hearing family members come in the house, and he's hearing, he's got his aunts that are coming to the house, and they're talking, they're like, yeah, and George is just walking around in the living room, trying to figure out what to do. And before he knows it, that their family members are sitting at the table with coffee, and this is their morning routine, is to meet together in the morning, and have their cup of coffees, for hours. And what are the parents talking about? It's nonstop. They're complaining about all the bad stuff the children have done that week, and maybe they got in trouble at school, and now the parents are like gossiping, about their child and saying, well, yeah, Jerry, like he got some bad grades in school, and we got a call from the principal, and yeah, we disciplined his ass. We gave him a whipping. For what for? Because that's not allowed here. We're not going to let him have bad grades. And George, he ate 10 cookies. Those cookies, I made, and it was for this the school, to share cookies at the school. And then I had to go out and I had to go buy more cookies because George ate 10 of them. So I was 10 short, or actually 5, and Sally, or whatever, the last, the girl, she keeps on, what is she doing? She keeps on sneaking in the refrigerator, eating food, eating stuff that we didn't know that she was eating, and we caught her because it was in her bedroom. So these kids are, in the house, and they're hearing their family members, talk about them, and the oldest one is, older, and so he understands more than the other ones. So the oldest one, Jerry, he's so tired of, like, all the family members know what Jerry's doing. It could be some really embarrassing stuff. Maybe Jerry got caught in the bedroom with a porn magazine. What was Jerry doing? We don't want to talk about that, and now Aunt Sally knows about it. Uncle John knows about it. Jerry is so embarrassed about what his family is doing and what they're talking about, and so he's really embarrassed. He feels really bad about himself, because now everybody knows about it, and he didn't know that was wrong either. And so now Jerry is feeling really bad about himself. And so as these kids grow up, you know, they're only hearing how bad they are as kids. They're only hearing about, oh, look at what Jerry did and what, you know, Jerry did, and let me see, I'm getting these names. But the middle-aged child, George, you know, what George did because he ate all the cookies. And that's not the only thing George has been doing. George went and did some other crazy stuff in a house with his sister, you know, and now everybody knows, you know, like, George, you're not supposed to do that with your sister. But I love her. You know, I wanted to give her a kiss, you know, and the youngest one, you know, she's learning from her brothers, but everybody knows in the house, you know, even the neighbors know, you know, what's going on, you know, in the house. So especially the oldest one and the middle-aged child are really being affected by this. And now when family members come, you know, they go and hide in their room, and they don't want to come out because even though he's in his room or they are in their room, they can hear through the cracks of the door, and they can hear everybody talking really bad about even their kids, you know. So even your relatives are telling, you know, your mom and dad about, you know, things that your cousins were doing. You didn't even know anything that they were smoking cigarettes and stealing and all that, but now you know what they were doing, and now you know some gossip from your relatives. So I understand that parents do this, you know. So I was not doing that with my kids. So it is wise, you know, I understand there's times that parents have kids, and yes, your kids are you're gonna catch your kids doing some crazy ass shit. You don't even remember all the crazy shit you did growing up, but your parents do. You know, they might have told you stories, you know, when you were, you know, when you were an adult having your own kids, saying, yeah, you know, do you remember when we caught you? What were you doing? Something embarrassing. You pooped outside on the grass and we caught you. Do you remember that? You know, so now, yeah, you pooped outside. You didn't know, you know, parents said to use the bathroom outside, and you did. You just did what they told you, but they didn't say not to take a shit outside. But, you know, everybody found out that you took a shit outside. So this really messes children up in such a way, it really actually, you know, it only, when they get older, it has a way of affecting them where they have a hard time, you know, like somebody could tell them that they're doing a great job, and maybe they tell them stuff that they're not doing so great at. But children that get brought up in such a way where they only hear all the bad things that they're doing, and they don't hear any encouragement, they don't hear, you know, like the parents inspiring them to do good, they're only hearing how bad you're a bad child. And, you know, these children could have got beat really bad, you know, from different families, different backgrounds, you know, and then you know, it's like a newspaper place, you know, and a news station right at your house, you know, where you're the one on a channel news, you know, and everybody, you know, to you as a child knows all your shit, all your private stuff, things that should have never been told to everyone, you know, just to sit and gossip at a table, you know. I understand that parents, you know, will have problems with their kids and they don't know what to do, you know, and they want to do the right thing and try to figure it out. But, you know, you got to be careful of, like, the kind of people that you open up to and how you do that. You know, you shouldn't, like, you know, parents will do that purposely, talk about you in front of the relatives, either on the phone. They see that you're there in the living room and you're on the phone, like, yeah, George ate all these cookies. And George's like, okay. Oh, and yeah, Jerry, you wouldn't believe what we saw him doing in his bedroom with that porn magazine. And the youngest one, yeah, the youngest one keeps on eating all the food in the refrigerator. So those children, and if you're only focused on the negatives and you're not inspiring them and you're not encouraging them when they do something right, instead of focusing so much on all the bad shit that they do, focus more on what they are doing right. Because this doesn't affect them just when they're younger. They might even want to try to end their life because, of making them feel so guilty that they feel guilty about everything. And when they are an adult, they're going to feel guilty about everything that they do because it's been brainwashed in them to, when they do something wrong, it's evil and, where everybody's going to know about it. And so when they get older, they're going to have a hard time really finding out who they really are. And they're going to be afraid of being and expressing themselves because they're afraid of what everybody else is going to think, because they were brainwashed when they were kids and they were treated wrong by gossiping about their behaviors in front of family members, either in front of them or on the telephone, and gossiping about their children, not even trying to get any sound advice on how to fix the problem, but just gnashing their kids and tearing them apart and trying to make you did a great job making them feel guilty, but now they're gonna be an adult one day. And how is that going to affect them when they're an adult now? And, that somebody could say, hey, great job. They don't hear that. What they hear is, what am I doing wrong? So you really need to be wise at, how you correct things when your children are little, when you catch them doing some crazy ass shit, right? I could tell you, you want to hear some crazy stories my kids did? I'm not telling you, because it's none of your business. It really isn't. It's none of your business, what my kid did behind private doors. And if parents want to get help, the real right kind of help, go to therapy, go to a friend that really, has your back, and that friend is, it's not something that you put in the newspaper and broadcast it all over on the news station. That should be something, if you're going to talk to somebody about the problems that you got at home with your kids, talk where they can't hear what the blank you're saying. Those kids are not effing stupid. They hear through walls. They can hear you on the phone. So, and if you're a child and you're an adult that went through that when you were a kid, guess what? You need to get healed. You need to get healed and understand your parents didn't know what the blank they were doing, point blank. And on that note is you need to get healed, from how they brought you up, and you got to really, and it's painful when kids or even adults experience those things where they never feel good enough. They don't ever feel like they can ever do anything right. And that stems from how they were being brought up. So not only you have to get healed from abuse by your parents or your mom or dad. It could have been one where it could have been mainly your dad always ripping you apart and never encouraging you. Or it could have been both parents, and maybe they're both gaining on the children, because that happens. Parents will actually take their frustration out on their children. They're not having a good, happy relationship with themselves as a couple. And so who are they going to take it out on? Well, when they're home alone, with the family, nobody's around, so they take their problems out on their children. Their children didn't deserve all what they put on their kids because they're not having a good relationship, because they're not communicating. So you really need to be mindful if you're a parent, or even if you're starting to be a parent. Don't advertise your kids as shit. It's like somebody going on Facebook and telling everybody about something you did wrong when you were, there's parents out there, and it's sad that they will bring up and say, I remember what you did when you were 7 years old. And they will never forgive their child for doing something that they did when they were 7 years old. It's a putting a guilty conscience on these kids. And it's screwing them up. Because when they get older, it's going to be hard for them to really find out who they are. So they got to get healed from that abuse, and, they have to also forgive their parents for spreading gossip all around the neighborhood and everywhere. Imagine, 10 people come to your house and every single person hears about what you did. Not only did your parents tell them one day, the day after you got done getting caught doing something naughty, you got to hear it over and over again, repeatedly, over and over again, because your parents couldn't remember. They gossiped so much that they forgot that they already told everybody about that story. And so then they repeat the same story about you over and over again. That goes deep inside that child, where that child doesn't even want to come out of their bedroom because they don't feel good as a human being, as a child. They're embarrassed. They don't want to see those relatives because it's like, they know everything I did, And so they got to forgive those parents. And then they got to heal, from that abuse. And so, I am not apologizing for this video, because if you're going to talk about your children, do it because you really want to get help for them and that you're concerned about them. Not that you want to think that I'm going to embarrass them and they're going to change. Because if I embarrass them, I tear them apart, that this is going to help them to be a good little boy or girl. You're wrong. So find somebody, a parent that is really working on being a good parent themselves, and talk to them privately, not on a phone. Don't have the people come to the house while the child's walking around in the house, and then you can sit there and gossip about your child and name every freaking thing they did wrong, and oh yeah, 2 years ago they did this, I'll never forget that. You gotta think is find a person that's working on bringing up their kids in a good way, and say, hey, you know what, maybe how to help me out with this, and you don't, or even go to therapy, go get some help somewhere, and if you don't know what the blank you're doing with your kids, put your pride down and call up, make an appointment, and get somebody that will help you out. And they're not going to tell everybody in the neighborhood. They're not going to talk on the phone and say, oh yeah, I had a client come in here, and so anyway, I love you so much. It just said, many children go through this shit, with their families. They're the talk of the town. Do you think the kids are just going to be perfect the day after they've been just splattered like that, with company coming, and repeating over and over again how wicked you are, what you did? They're not going to. Are you, as a parent, perfect? Absolutely not. We always are stepping in, going places and doing things that we're not supposed to do. So don't expect your children just to, hey, I'm going to embarrass the blank out of them. That will teach them a lesson. Or beat the tar out of them. That really will work, right? So anyway, I love you so much. And to be a good parent, you got to be wise. Not that you're going to be perfect, but, think of how that's going to affect them down the road. And anyway, Starlight's getting a little chilly out here. So anyway, I love you so much, and you can give this video a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget, you can leave me a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. And I forgot, don't forget the notification bell. That way you don't miss any videos. And please share this video. This is really important. A lot of kids go through this kind of abuse, with parents, talking ugly about them nonstop, just always pointing out the bad. have some, like, that should be private, even with the siblings. All the other brothers and sisters don't need to know what the oldest one did. That causes a lot of problems, with the kids getting along, because now it's like, you got in trouble by mom and dad for doing what? That's another way the devil comes in, uses the parents and the siblings and the neighbors, to make that child feel. Have you ever been like this? I'm going to share this really quick because I know this video is long. Have you felt so small? I went through this. It wasn't a dream. It was real. Is that you visualized a huge chair, but you were this little sitting on it. That's what you're going to do. You're going to make them feel that little. How is that going to help them out in their future? So anyway, I love you. And you can share my videos with your family. Yeah, these videos are good. Share with the families that are out there tearing their kids apart. Share it with them. They need this. If you know somebody that is, you're always hearing them on the phone. Oh, yeah. Sure, say, hey, check out the Starlight chick. She's got something to help you out with. So, I do know somebody right now that are going through this shit because of what they went through when they were a child. Anytime they want to go do something, they're afraid that somebody's going to judge them for every freaking thing that they do. I'm afraid to do that. I'm afraid I'm forced to do things that I don't want to do, even though I know what I'm going to do is the right thing to do, but I'm afraid of what people are going to think. Because that was something that they dealt with when they were a kid. They're afraid of their reputation being ruined. They're afraid of so many things because of how they were brought up as a child. So anyway, Starlight did swear. So those kids need to be inspired, encouraged, not tore apart. So anyway, I love you. You could share my videos with a deer and a horse, of course. Plus, you can also check out my playlist, and you could follow me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. I love you all. I did not do that with my children. Absolutely not. So we need to be kind. I inspired my kids so much. So that is focus more on what they're doing right. The more you focus on what they're doing wrong, that's more what you're going to get from them. So anyway, I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and peace.